welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we've got a puzzle that has been recommended to us, well, to the nines. It's called Reachin Some Region Sums by 2totenth, and I really like the title of this because it reminds me of a cryptic crossword clue, because it's a homophone. So Reachin Some sounds a lot like Region Sum to me. Really cool. And amongst the people who've recommended this puzzle to us are Tall Cat, whose judgment I trust implicitly. So I've no doubt this is going to be absolutely brilliant. Now, what do I need to tell you about before I read you the rules of this one? We're streaming tomorrow night. That should be fun. We're finishing off hopefully we're finishing off the puzzles from our 500,000 subscriber special app. That's a free app. You can download it right now from your app provider. Just search for Cracking the Cryptic. And we've got just 2 puzzles left. I think it's an sudokus, which is going to be Mark to solve, and then Jovial, which will be mine to solve. So we've got those, and then it's on to the Sudoku Skunkworks dastardly plan to fool me. I'm meant to be trying to guess who constructed puzzles from just the experience of solving them, which I'm looking forward to, but with trepidation. Other than that, I need to read out more names from our fantastic patrons who managed to solve the whole of the Duality Sudoku Skunkworks Hunt. 14 puzzles in all. It's the feedback has been incredible about these puzzles, but also the numbers are incredible. The numbers of you who must have spent hours and hours. We tested the puzzles. They took us hours and hours. So it's really fantastic solving. So very well done to Jorg Volketsetter. I think Jorg Volketsetter. I'm going to go with that. Andrew Nicholson, Filippo Chona, Rob Sommer, David Berardo, Finn Sutherland, could be Southerland, Todd Vaughnken, or could be Warnken, Claire Matthews, Spatula Citizen, that's an unusual one, RJ and Henry Powers. I think Henry is a toddler, but RJ Powers wanted us to say thank you to the toddler for not waking him up while he was working on the puzzles. So well done, RJ Powers, on keeping your toddler asleep. Carolyn Offutt, Anna Killian, Barry Spatz, Lou, and Amanda Berg. Lou, thank you, by the way, for your very kind email. I did enjoy reading that. Also, some birthdays today. We've got Amy, who turns 31, from your sister Sarah. I think you're both down in Australia. I might be wrong. And Sarah was very keen that I tell Amy that she's definitely in her 30s now. Amy, I think at 31, you probably have to accept that. So if I am adjudicating, yeah, you probably are. But I hope you have a good day anyway. Lisa, 32, from your husband Scott, also down in Australia, in Sydney, I believe. And a shout out to William from your sister Beth, who is very grateful and thinks you deserve a shout out because apparently you have been looking after a house full of COVID patients for the last 2 weeks, 5 of them. You've done all the cooking, all the cleaning, and all the pet care, as well as holding down a job. So, William, well done. That is a superb effort, and I know it's really appreciated by those affected. So, cool stuff indeed. Other than that, there's nothing else. Let me read you the rules of Reachin Some Region Sums by 2totenth. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Blue lines are region sum lines, i.e. the digits along these lines must have the same sum in each region entered by the line. So let's just stop there and check we understand that. So that is telling us on this great big line here, you can see that this great big line, it visits 3 cells in this box. So those 3 cells, you have to add them up. And that total must be the same as the total for the line on the cells it visits in box 5, because it goes into box 5, look, and it visits 5 cells there. So those 5 cells, you add them up and you should get the same as whatever those yellow ones are. And then we visit box 2, it takes those 2 cells, so those 2 cells should have the same sum as these 3, should have the same sum as these green ones. That is how region sum lines work. However, it's not that simple in this puzzle, because unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon your view, the grid contains 9 doublers, one in each row, column and box. Each digit from 1 to 9 is doubled exactly once, and doubled digits count as twice their value for the purposes of the sum lines. So basically, everything I just told you was not true, because if there were doublers, so imagine that cell was a doubled 9, for example, then it's possible that these 3 digits could add up to, in fact, that's impossible because of these 2 cells. But yeah, hopefully you're getting the idea. If you can double a digit, all of a sudden, everything's going to get complicated. I think that's the short and sweet way of explaining what's going on. Everything's getting complicated. Do have a go at the puzzle though. The way to play is to click the link under the video. That's in the video description under the video. You'll find a link to a page that looks identical to this one, where you can play the puzzle on whichever device takes your fancy. But now I get to play Let's Get Cracking. Now I imagine, well, oh no, hang on, no, okay, no, this is already more complicated than I was expecting, because I was about to say that there's an interesting relationship between these 5 digits and these 2 digits. So I think with region sum lines, a good strategy in general is to find where the number of cells is really mismatched between boxes. So I'm thinking about this sort of thing. There's 1 digit in this box, so we know that the sum of this digit is the same as the sum of these 3 digits. Now ordinarily that would allow us to write 6, 7, 8 or 9 into this cell, because the minimum these could be would be 1, 2 and 3. However, we can't do that here because that could actually be a doubled cell, and therefore it could be a ludicrously high number like 18 if it's a double 9. Or actually it could be a really small number and be surprised. So it could be a 3 doubled and get, oh no, it couldn't be a 3 doubled, because that would mean it was counting as 6, and you couldn't make those 3 add up to 6 without using another 3. So maybe it can be a 4 doubled. That would give us 8, yeah, and they could be well, they could be 1, 2, 5, but I'm just pausing there about whether they could be 1, double 2 and 3 as well. Okay, this is going to get complicated. Okay, and yeah, what I was trying to do in box 5 before I got distracted by this awkward line in row 8 was to think that those 5 cells must add up, and I mean this is true, it's still true, they must add up to at least the triangular number for 5, because if I minimize all these digits, there are 5 different digits there. The triangular number for 5 is 15, i.e. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So these cells have to add up to at least 15. Which ordinarily would let me do this, because we must have at least, we couldn't have a 5 and a 10 in here, but of course because we've got doublers, we absolutely, one of these cells could count as 10 if it was doubled, or it could count as a lot more than 10. Right, so I'm now wondering if it's these shapes, because these shapes I'm noticing are symmetrically disposed, which looks deliberate. Okay, there's something there, isn't there? Because those digits have to be, well, they have to be the same number. Oh, well actually, no. Well, they have to count as the same number. Can they actually be the same number? That doesn't work, does it? I'm just trying to think about that. If they're both 8, for example, that would imply that these 3 digits have to add up to 8. However, there is a Sudoku problem in that I have to put that digit on this line, and the moment I do that, doesn't matter where it goes, those 2 digits would have to be 0 to make the maths work. And I don't think that's affected by doubler logic, is it? If these 2 are just the identical digit rather than the identical count, because what you could do is something like that, and if you double this one, then you don't have the problem of putting 8 on the line by Sudoku. So okay, so what we're learning here is that these can't... So although these count as the same value, one of them is doubled in order to get round the problem of having 2 zeros on this line. So one of those digits is doubled. They can't both be doubled because they would both be the same number. You know, if we said that was a 5 and it was doubled, then this would, well, actually no, this would have to count for 10, which could only be achieved by doubling 5. So yes, so they can't both be doubled because you can't double 5 twice. So exactly one of these is doubled. I don't really know how to show that. I'll put a flash. So I'll have red for my doublers, and I'll do grey flash for ambiguity. So one of these is doubled, and the same logic must apply here, mustn't it? Oh, that's good. Right. Okay, now I've understood. Now I've understood what's going on, and I can actually start to think about the puzzle, because this pattern repeats here exactly from a geometric perspective. These two cells must include a doubler. Now, the thing that's interesting there is that now this can't be a doubler, because if it's a doubler, neither of these cells can be doubled, because we can't have a second doubler in box 1, and we can't have a second doubler in column 3. And if neither of these could be doubled, they would have to be the same digit, which would go in one of those cells by Sudoku, which would then require the double zero problem. So that doesn't work. So that is not doubled, which means that is doubled, which means that is not doubled, which means that is doubled. Oh, that's lovely. That's a lovely break-in. So now I'm going to label everything else that these two red cells see in some other colour to indicate those cells there. Oh, I don't know if that's a good choice of colour. Let's try grey maybe. Yeah, grey's a bit better. These digits here cannot be doublers, which presumably is going to matter somehow, although I'm not immediately seeing how. Right, so what are the values then? These cells can't be the same, can they? Because each doubler is a different number from 1 to 9. Yes, okay, and we're bounded because this has to be a real digit that's not doubled. So the doubled value of this must be at least 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is 6. So this is at least a 3. 4 would give 8, which is possible here. 5 doesn't work because that would give 10 here. So this is 3 or 4, and the same logic must apply there. That must be 3 or 4. Which means these are 6 or 8. So there's a 6-8 pair in box number 1. And one of these arrows is 1, 2, 3. Whichever, imagine that was a 3, then that would be a 6. And the only way of making this add up to 6 is with 1, 2, 3. There can't be any doublers. And then that would be an 8, and that would be a 4. And this would be complicated, I think, because it's weird the way that the doublers change what you think you know about, like normally with a 3-cell 8 arrow effectively, which is what this would become, we would say this was either 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. But here I'm pausing because if I doubled the 1, and put 2 and 4 on, that would add up to 8. And if I doubled the 2 and put 1 and 3 on, that would add up to 8. I couldn't double the 3 on there, because if I doubled the 3, I'd need double 1 as well, and that's silly. Although everything else I've been saying has been slightly peculiar as well. So that is rather annoying, although so is it possible? I'm just wondering if I can rule out sort of 1, 3, 4 or something because of these 3 4s on this arrow. If this is 1, 2, 3, so those are not 1, 2, 3. So maybe I can't put too many low digits in those two cells. Do you have to have a 1 on this arrow? No, yeah, okay, yeah, you definitely have to have a 1 on it. Even if the 1 counts as 2, it still has to have a 1 on it, because if there's no 1 on it, it would be 2, 3, 4 minimum, and 2, 3 and 4 add up to 9, and 9 is greater than 8. So there is a 1 on there. Oh, the other thing I've got to bear in mind, of course, is that this is totally not necessarily the correct orientation. Yeah, okay, I'm actually going to get rid of that straight away because I'm worried that I'm going to forget that. So one of these is 1, 2, 3. The other one has a 1 on it. So 1 in this box is restricted because there's a 1 on both of those lines. There's a 1 on, alright, there's a 1 on this other line. That's, okay. So I'm just thinking now, we know that the total here, which could have double 1 on it, I suppose, but the double 1 would have to be there. But that's not really the problem. We've got to make sure this line adds up to at least 15, which is the minimum I could put on those cells in the middle box without keeping them sort of en clair, keeping them undoubled. So I've got to have at least 13 in the other two cells. Oh, I see. I think I see what happens here. Can you... Ah, yeah, got it. Right. Okay, so bear with me here. I'm just going to put 3 in here for a moment. I'm just going to make this 3 and this 4. Which means this one is a 1, 2, 3 triple. And this is adding up to 8. Now the point is that this adding up to 8 needs to have a 2 or a 3 on it, because if it didn't, what would it be? It would be a minimum of 1, 4, 5, which adds up to more than 8. So given there's a 2 or a 3 on this arrow, and there's a 2 or a 3 on this arrow, that means in this box, those have got to include a 2 or a 3, which means they're effectively from 1, 2 and 3. Now the reason that's important is thinking about the total for the middle box now. Because all of a sudden, I've got problems. This is adding up to at least 15. So how do we make this work? Something's got to be doubled here, doesn't it? I'm just wondering if we can get away with a double 3. In this position. Or is that going to cause me a problem with my... this is getting complicated. Is that causing me a problem with my doubler on the 6th arrow? So, what I'm thinking is, I've definitely got 1s, 2s or 3s in these cells. Now if the 3 is not doubled in these two cells, if it's not doubled, the maximum I can make these two digits add up to is 5 by being 2 and 3 and undoubled. And that would require this cell to count for a 10 at least, so it would have to be doubled. Which would be great. But I'm wondering, this can't be doubled, but imagine this was doubled. Or maybe the 2 can be doubled. 2, if this was 2, 3, and the 2 was doubled. Now I think I'm running into the same problem on the 6th arrow. So let's just think about this. Let's imagine this is the double digit. Then it doesn't matter which way round these 3 and 4 go. This arrow, or this string or this string has to contain a 1, 2, 3 triple. But worse than that, has to have a doubler on it, because I've got to put a doubler in this column. And if one of these is doubled, it's simply impossible for it to add up to 6, which it must do. And if this was 3, it would be exactly the same logic. It just doesn't work. So that's really beautiful, actually. So in fact, that is doubled, which means, okay, which gets me out of my problems on these lines. So we can grey everything. Oh no, well, no, we can't actually. We can't. There's got to be now a red digit in one of these, and this digit is adding up to. Well, let's work this out. So now, if I go 2 and 3 here, I need this to be at least double 5. So this is either 5, 7, or 9. It can't be 6 or 8. Right. Okay. Now, can we do better than that? Okay, I can do better than that. I can tell you that that's not double 9. Because if that was double 9, this would add up to more than 18. And those two cells have a maximum value of 17. If I make those an 8-9 pair, which is the most they can... Oh, no, that is the most they can be. I paused for a moment. I suddenly thought, oh no, doublers. But no, neither of these can be a doubler. So that cannot be a 9. So this is 5 or 7 now. Which might be important. Some way, somehow. Oh, and the other thing I've got to be careful about, is I'm going to take those out because I don't know what the order of this is. Maybe that's the point. Maybe there is a way of telling which way round these 6s and 8s go. If that's 7, that's counting as 14. This has a maximum value of 17, so this would have to be 7 with a 1-2 pair. Now that might break, because what we're saying then is that the 8 arrow has a 2 on it that's undoubled, so it would have to be 1, 2, 5. Not sure. If we now know that the 8, and we do know this, which we didn't know before, the 8 arrow, i.e. the 8 sequence in either box 2 or box 4 is undoubled. It is now either 1, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 5. Which wasn't the case before. So that feels like it's almost important. Oh, hang on, that can't be 5 because one of these needs to be a 1. I'd forgotten that. Oh, that's huge. That's huge. Yes, because one of these needs to be a 1, because there is definitely a 1 on both of those. I can't make double 5 work because I need the 2 and the 3 to get to 15. So that is 7. Wow. So this is 7 with a... Right, this is beautiful. This is 7 with a 1-2 pair. It's the only way it'll work. This is now an 8-9 pair because we know we're heading up towards 17. This is adding up to 17 now. So it's probably got to have some digits on it. It's got to have a 1 on it, doesn't it? Or the minimum it would add up to is 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 adds up to 20. The way you can do those sums quickly, by the way, is learning your triangular numbers. So if you know that the triangular number for 6 is 21, then missing out a 1 from that sequence, missing out a 1 from the sequence 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, it gives you 20, obviously. So there must be a 1 on there, there must be a 2 on there, there must be a 3 on there, but there doesn't have to be a 4. 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6 do add to 17. And we're not... are we saying... No, we're not. I was about to say, are we saying none of these are doubled? But I don't think we are. Because if we did double 1, for example... we could have 2, 3, 4, 5. Adding up to 14. No, double 1 would be 16, so that wouldn't... Well, I suppose we could have 2, 3, 4, 6 and a double 1. So you can double digits on this arrow, unfortunately. But, okay, but now we know that whichever one of these is the 8, we know there's a repeated 2, don't we, in these cells? So we know there's one of them is 1, 2, 5, and one of them is 1, 2, 3. Which presumably matters in some way or other. So, okay, so imagine that was 3, i.e. this line is 6. Then this square would have to be a 3 by Sudoku, because there would be a 3 on the line. So either this is 3 or this is 3. Now if this is 4, this then becomes 8. But this is 1, 2, 5, isn't it? So there would be a 5 in one of these. Okay, don't know if I can do better than that. Golly gosh. Oh, I've got an 8, 9 looking... I've got an 8, 9 pair looking at that. So that's 6. That's great. So that's disambiguated the ordering of this. This is a 6 arrow, so that's a 3, that's a 4. This is now 1, 2, 5, adding up to 8. This is 1, 2, 3, adding up to 6. So that's not a 3 anymore. That's a 3. There's got to be a 5 in one of those digits. There's got to be a 4 in one of these digits. And the other digit I've not placed up here, is 9. Yes, okay, so look, this is now a 4, 9 pair is what we're learning. And the 5 must go there as it's sort of a naked single. Good grief, okay. Don't know if we can do better than that, but that's a lot further than I thought we were going to get. We can... I'm not sure where to look now. I've got to put some doublers into these cells, or one doubler in each case. So we've probably got to think about... This is more restricted because of the 8, 9. Right, let's check this one. We've got 3s, 4s, 6s and 7s to place. That's right. So this right. This is beautiful. Okay, but we've doubled 3, 4 and 7 already. So the double digit here is 6. Now I don't know where it goes, but I know it's doubled. So there's definitely a 6 up here. It's definitely doubled. So there's definitely a 6 over there. There's definitely an 8 over here I'm seeing, using the power of Sudoku. Which might matter. So this digit is either, it's 3, 4, it's not 6, it's 3, 4 or 7. It's not 4, it's just 3 or 7. So I've got to put a 4 up here, and I've got to put a double 6. Can we somehow... Well, what do we know? If the line's got double 6 on it, I don't think it's restricted, but I'm not sure. I'm not certain about that. If it's got double 6 on it... Oh no, it is restricted because I can't... I've got to pair it with at least a 3, so I've got to make that 15 at least. Oh, I'm not sure this is going to work. It might be possible to make this 15 or higher. I'm actually thinking higher. So maybe it's actually got to be double 6 and 4. No, because that's going to knock... Oh, hang on. This is tricky. This domino is tricky, I think. If there's double 6 on this arrow... Well, let's rule out double 6, 7. That cannot work because that's more than that's more than 17, which isn't actually even the maximum value. The maximum value for this is 7, 9, which is 16. So if there is a 6 on here, it's not 6 and 7. If it's 6 and 4, we have a problem, because that becomes a 9. And now the maximum value on there is 7, 5, which is 12, which is less than the 6 on its own doubled. So it's not 6, 4. If it's 6, 3, then this is 15. But it can't be 15 because it can't use 8 and it can't use 6. So I don't think 6 is on that arrow. It's quite complicated, but that means that's 6 and it's doubled. And if that's doubled, those are not doubled, these are not doubled. So this line down here is now completely natural. So all we're saying is that that is the same as those two. That's nearly very cool, but not quite cool enough. I was trying to think about whether there had to be a 1 and a 2, or 1 or a 2, to make a virtual pair in this column. But I don't think it does have to be, because if this was 4, 5, so if there's no 1 or 2 down here, because there's no 3, this would be 4, 5, and this would be 9. And that looks like it has the potential to work, doesn't it? Okay. So how do we make more progress now? This 6 was hard won. I want to use my 6 somehow. I'm going to use my 6 by... Well, okay, there's now a 4. Oh! Hang on. Oh, I could have done this before. Sorry. Look, there's a 4 up here looking at that. So that's got to be 9, and that's got to be 4. That would have made this line disambiguation a bit easier, I think. Oh. Oh, well, okay, there's loads going on now. It's all kicking off. 4, 6 and 8 into these squares. But more importantly, there is now 1, 2 down here, because it can't be 4, 5. So there's a 1 or a 2 on this line. Which, I'm not sure if that matters or not. There's a 4, 6, 8 here. There could be a doubler on this line though. We'll check this line in a minute. I just want to come back to this. So there's definitely a 4 on this line. So if it was 4 and 3, this would have to add up to 7. And it would have to be 2, 5. If it's 4 and 7, it's got to add up to 11. It can't. Oh, it can't. Right. Okay. So this is where we look next. How is this? This has definitely got 4 on it. Now, if it's 4, 3, it works. If it's 4, 7, I need that domino to add up to 11 without being 5, 6, 4, 7, 3, 8, or 2, 9. So that doesn't work. So this is 3, 4. And if it's 3, 4, that's 2, 5 by what we just worked out. So this is 1. This is 2. That's now 1 on the line down there. That digit in the corner doesn't earn a song, but it is a 7. These digits are now known. They are 6, 8, 9. These digits are a 1, 3 pair. Nah, no, I've got no idea whether there's a doubler on this line or not. I've got... That's a 7, by the power of that being a 3, 4. This is at least a 1 and a 5. It can't be 1 and a 5 actually, because that would give me 6 here. And it can't be 1 and a 6, so it's at least a 1 and a 7. In fact, maybe it has to be a 1 and a 7, because it can't be a 1 and an 8. Yeah, okay. This line here at the bottom, when you combine it with the fact that you can't put 6 and 7 in here, I think is forced to be a 1, 7 pair adding to 8. It's the only way it works, which might matter. Let's get rid of the 1, 7. So these squares are now 5, 6 and 9. And these squares are something else, 4s, 7s and 8s, which means these squares are 5, 9 and 2. And I bet you we can now work out something on this line. How could they be... oh, actually, these are natural. One of these could be doubled. 404 can't be doubled. Oh, hang on. 8 is... oh, this is so clever. I tell you what I think is really clever here. And that's that you actually have to use quite profoundly the numbers you've already found out to be doubled. So the double digit here is 8. If 8's on the line, it's no, it doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. Because if I double 8 on the line, and I know it's a double 8 because 4 and 7 can't be doubled in this sequence, and there must be a double digit. If I double 8 on the line, it's adding up to at least 16 plus 4, which is 20, which is far too much. So I get an 8 here. I get 4, and now I know this is a 4-7 pair adding to 11. So that can't be 2 or 9, because that can't be 2 or 9. So that's got to be 5. That's got to be 6. We know those are grey. We know this is doubled. We know none of these are doubled now. This 8 is giving me some stuff. 8 and 4 go in. 8's over here by Sudoku. So, does this imply I'm sort of honing in on having a doubler on this line, aren't I? So what I've got 1, 2, 5 and 9 left to be doubled. Still don't think I can do anything here. Again, I've got very equal, 2 digits and 2 digits. If I was betting, I would say it was this line that's where we're going to next find joy, because there's a mismatch. So this is at least a 6, and it can't be an 8. In fact, it can't be a 6. Oh, but it can be doubled. Ah! Right, okay. Let's think about that then, because... yeah, okay, let's think about that, because what can this digit be? Now, if this is not doubled, it's got to be at least 6, but it can't be 6 and it can't be 8. So it would have to be 7 or 9. Now, if it's 7, do you have to put a 1 on the arrow? You do. If it's 7, you could do it with double 1, 2, 3. Or you could do it with 1, 2, 4, but either way that cell would be broken. So it's not 7. And unless it's doubled. Oh, bobbins. Oh no, 7's already been doubled. This is so complicated. Right, so that's just not 7. So if this is a plain digit, it's 9. And then these squares, there's probably a multitude of ways of getting there. Oh, but if that's 9, I get some stuff done up there. But the other possibility, of course, is that this is a doubled number. Now, to be doubled, though, it's... oh, there are 3 digits. And no, but you couldn't have another doubler. So if this is doubled... I want to say it would have to be 5, but maybe that's not right. Let me think about this. Oh, no, there's an 8 on the arrow as well. Right, so if this is a double digit... it can't be 3 or 4 because they've gone. It could be 5, except that's not going to work mathematically. And it can't be 6, 7 or 8, so it would have to be doubled 9. Now, the interesting, I think this is a 9 then, but I don't know whether it's doubled or not. Oh, it must be doubled because there's an 8 on the line. Wow, okay, so this line I think is done. So let me just deal with double 5 here is 10, but there's an 8 on the line, so I can't accompany it with double 1. So that doesn't work. So whether this is natural or doubled, it is 9. But now, if it's 9 and it's not doubled, I've got 8 on the line, so it doesn't work. So that is doubled 9. This is adding up to 18, and there's an 8 on it. So we've got 2 more digits that add up to 10, which are not 1, 9, 2, 8 or 4, 6, so they're 3, 7. This is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So this is 3, 7, 8. That gets me a digit here. It's a 1. That gets me a 7 here. The 9 and the 2 go in. These digits are 4 and something. 4 and 5, I think. 9. Oh, this 9 still works from a Sudoku perspective, so I get some things in here. I can't put 9 on this line, surely. No, it's got to add up. No, I can't put 9 on it, and doublers will not help me. So that's 9. Can I put 8 on this line? Surely not, because it's got to add up to 17. If you put 8 on it, the other digits have to add up to 9. And you can't make 4 different numbers. Even with doublers, you'd have to have halvers involved. Don't think about it. Any of you constructors out there, not think about halvers. But if you can't make 4 different digits add up to 9, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So that's an 8. Does that help me? That means that's not 9. Don't know. Doesn't seem to do that much, actually. Well, although I can now do some more greying of the grid in cells that can't be doublers. So, oh, but 8 can't be doubled because it's already been... Oh, good grief, that's doubled. Wow. Okay. 8, this can't be doubled because that's been doubled already. So it would be a repeated doubled 8. So that is a doubled digit on this line. So it's got to be really low. The minimum value of those would be, well, 10 obviously. But if I'm just wondering if this can even be double 3. Oh, it can't be double 3. 3's already gone, so it's not double 3. It can't be double 4 because these would add up to at least 11, and that's more, plus double 4 is more than 17. So this is a doubled 1 or a doubled 2. Now, if it's doubled 1, these 4 digits, not including 1, have to add up to 15. So 2, 3, 4, and 6 would be forced, and that might work, maybe. What about if this is double 2? If this is double 2, these digits add up to 13 without using 2, so they're 1, 3, 4, 5, exactly. Right, so there's no 7. There's no 7 on this line now. So there's a 7 in one of those 2 cells, which means there's a 7 in that cell by Sudoku, which is lovely. So the rest of this box is 1, 2, 3, and 6. That's not 6, or 3. That's not 3. So there's a 3 on this line. So does that mean... No, okay. There is a 6 on this line as well, because if there isn't, how on earth do you make this line work? If this hasn't got a 6 on it, the minimum sum, well, the maximum sum of those 2 cells is a 3 and a 2, which add up to 5, which could be made with 2 digits if these are 1 and 4, but the 4 isn't available. And if we go lower than 3 and 2 there, like 3 and 1, we need a 1 here as well to make this total work. So one of those is a 6, one of these is it's adding up to 9, it's a 3, 6 pair, that's the point. So this is not 6. If this adds up to 9... Oh, I've broken it. Oh no, what have I done wrong there? It can't be 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5. Bilbo Bobbins. What on earth did I do wrong there? Oh, unless that can be doubled. Oh, that's going to be it. Ah! Okay, let's check this. 1, 2, and 5. Well, the 5 can't be doubled. That digit, the only way I can get this to work, assuming I've not done anything wrong, is by doubling this digit. So this... So either double 1 doesn't work, that would have to be a 7. That can't be. Double 2 does work, it can be a 5. Oh, good grief. So this is 5, this is 2, this is 1, and that 2 is, you've guessed it, doubled. Which means that's a double 1, which means I now know what those digits are, because I worked it out before. They're 2, 3, 4, and 6, I think it was. So this is a 5, 7 pair. That's not 5 anymore. Oh, ooh, I've got a 1, 2 pair in this column, so that's not 2 anymore. And okay, I've got, right, and I can, oh look, yes, look, if I'm diligent here with my greying, I get the last doubler digit, and I might be able to even write it in the grid, because I've got every number doubled apart from 5, so this is a 5, so this is counting for 10, that's not 5 anymore by Sudoku. Oh, I don't think that's doing any more than that. Okay, so what's that digit? That's at least a 2. Can't be 1. So this is adding up to at least... Oh, it's adding... Yes, okay, this is great. This is adding up to at least 12. And the maximum they can add up to is 12. So this is 3. That's 9. That's a 1 by Sudoku. There's a 1 in one of these 2 squares. This is not 3 anymore. So this is a 2 in order to make this add up to 12. So that 2 comes out of these 2 cells and this cell. And therefore, that's a 7, is it? Oh, so that's an 8. Okay, sorry, I should have seen that before. Let's do some Sudoku, Simon. That might help you. 3, 7... Oh, there's 2 5s done at the top. Sorry, should have seen that as well. That doesn't do stuff down here, but these squares are now 4 and 9, and that does stuff. That gives me a 4 and a 7, and a 5 and a 7. And a 6 here, and a 9 here, and a 5 here. Come on. This is not 1. Ah, it's nearly done. 2, 3, and 8 over here. Oh, 2 can't go in either of those cells. So that's got to be 2. This has got to be a 3, 8 pair. And we can do it. That's got to be 8. That's got to be 3. That's got to be 3. That's got to be 7. So these squares are 4 and 6. Which is useful. We can do that. 4 and 6 go into the grid. Those squares are 1 and something. 9, I want to say. Yeah, and I can do it. 9 and 1 go in the grid. 1 and 3 go in the grid. 2, 4. Oh, 4 here is quite handy, isn't it? So that's 6. That's got to be 2. So these become a 3, 4 pair. And in this row, we've not put 6 in. And that does seem to work from a Sudoku perspective. So 6 and 7 go in there. 6 here gives me 3 and 6 down here, which gives me 3 and 4 at the top. Which gives me 3 and 4 in the middle. 4 and 5 at the bottom. That's a 2, whoops, 2, 1, 5. 1, 2. Yes. Well, that's brilliant. 2 to 10th, take a bow. That was brilliant. It sort of didn't feel possible at the start, and even the clever trickery around these little lines, it doesn't feel, or it was sort of feeling a bit desperate to me in terms of how to work it out. But it's really clever, the way the geometry sort of pinions low digits into these squares. And then that digit becoming a 7 was huge. Can't quite remember how I did that. Oh yeah, I managed to get rid of 5 on it, didn't I? Because one of those had to be a 1. And then, what did we do after that? Something up there, I think. The whole thing was put together with such expert precision. You know, one deduction leading to the next, very linear path it felt like. And just some really gorgeous logic and surprising logic. Like finding that had to be a 9 was weird. And then thinking you broke the puzzle and not realising this could be a doubler. That was gorgeous. The whole thing, I'm just going to check. I have got one of each doubler, haven't I? I do. Fabulous. Loved it. Let me know how you got on in the comments. I do enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.